Leonard Will was a ganguru moral. Fight for our rights in Jamaica. Leonard Will was a ganguru moral. Fight for Rasta rights in Jamaica.
Greetings, African Earthman in the building, Wu-Tang Radio, Movements Radio, Sounds of the Diaspora. Today is a very good, powerful evening. We have Monty Howell and Bill Howell and Donisha Prendergast in the building today. We're going to share a little bit about the history of Leonard Howell, if you don't know about him, the first Rasta. So it's not really an interview, more a discussion of family, just building up what's going on Occupy Pinnacle. So, Monty, Bill.
Yes.
So let us know about your father. When was he born and in which part of Jamaica?
The parish is Clarendon. The year 1898.
Okay.
The 16th of June. The day I can't remember. He left Jamaica on unusual circumstances because he was supposed to have witnessed some violent act, and his parents didn't want him to participate in the trial because they were afraid of retaliation. Anyway, spent some time in the United States, just fast forwarding, and first he went to Panama, then the United States, and then he did some tour of Africa. And he went back to Jamaica in 1932. He started preaching about the dignity of the Ethiopian monarch, and the colonial authority didn't like what he was saying in terms of black pride and the building of the culture of Africa within the mind of the Jamaicans. And the harassment started from then, and it got even worse when they found out that he was commanding a huge crowd in terms of numbers. 300, 500. As a matter of fact, I have a Gleaner report that he had 500 people at his meeting, and the very day I was born, the 3rd of December 1939, 500 people was at that gathering. Police officer was there dictating what he was saying at the meeting to use against him in court. And well, this was before. Let us go back to the early part of the 30s, where he would go to the cane field and talk to people in terms of the meeting, where the gathering would be. Then after, he would try to get them away from that sort of colonial depression in terms of working for slave labor. He was telling the people that they should move with him to a place where they can have their own land to farm and to uplift themselves from the horrible depressive mood that they were in at the time, working for these colonial people in the cane field in Surge Island, St. Thomas. And he had a lot of opposition in terms from the surrounding people that weren't so-called Rasta at the time. They found his way of dealing with the faith would be offensive, because they at the time was thinking in terms of Caucasian God. Anyway, Buster Monty was the person in charge of recruiting, getting people on the property to cut the sugar cane. He would try to at these people, and these were the most depressed of the lot of people that were living in and working in St. Thomas at the time. And it reached to a point where he was arrested and he was sentenced 2 years for sedition. And this whole thing came to a head when the Bustamante, as I said before, he was the one that recruiting the people to go on in the factory. Sorry, the estate. And he was sentenced to 2 years in prison. And even after he served his prison sentence, Bustamante wrote to the colonial authority stating that he should be sent to the asylum because he was mad. In other words, Bustamante had no medical experience, but this was his recommendation. This was basically a pattern that they implement, or I should say perpetrate against all the black leaders that came within the period after slavery. Yeah. They would brand them as somebody insane. That you have to be insane to be talking against
to resist colonialism.
Yes.
Just like government. Just like any other one.
Yeah, just like Garvey, just like Bedwood.
Yeah.
Turner.
Yeah. Well, Paul
Rodney.
Paul Bogle wasn't all that fortunate because they really did execute him.
Yeah.
The reason why I think people like Garvey and Howell got through the lynching section or part there is because they were well known. Hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people knew them. So with that amount of eyes,
popularity,
would be the reason for them not to go all out and execute him or make him have some sort of accident.
Like Marley,
Yes.
How Marley accidentally died from cancer in 1981 after living such a healthy life.
Right.
Howell again to the end met a horrible experience, and he didn't recover from the beating that he got in 1980. Okay. He was savagely beaten, and the only reason why they didn't kill him is because there were about 12 people there at the time, and some of them went to the Tredegar Park area, and they had a encampment where they were living on the foothills of Pinnacle. And they got scared because they knew that there would be hundreds of people would be congregating at that house there that evening. But he only lived for 9 months after because he did not recover from the beating.
Who was he beaten by?
Well, that's the big question. These people that were at the house at the time were all tied up and everything. They told me that the people.
What do you mean they were tied up? Like the men who came in to beat Mr. Howell tied up the people who were living in the house with him?
Yes, for them not to.
Okay.
Anyway, they knew after that some of them escaped, and those are the one that they
went and
sound the alarms.
So this was an attempted assassination.
Oh,
then.
Definitely. But funny enough, she described them as people wearing raggedy clothes, but they had clean underwear. The undershirt was very clean. So we think that is some sort of special force.
Definitely.
Definitely.
That's the MO right there.
How old was Mr. Howell when this attack happened?
He was 82.
And tell us about the attack.
The attack was they beat him with the fist and they cut him.
Tried
to cut his tongue, and and they had some there's something that tell them that they were people were on their way there because they all of a sudden when they left the drove of people came down then and our people from the Tredegar Park area and this the surrounding area. You see, people have never over the years you always have people on Pinnacle. People was on Pinnacle all the time. One of the reasons why I did not mention names and call people from the Tredegar Park, from the foothills of Pinnacle, is because I was afraid that they would be exposed. Because if they knew that they were there would be another eviction. Well, sooner or later they found out about the eviction. That's why it came on this last time here in 2014, where you had a number of people who were threatened with eviction.
Okay, I just want to interject real quick. I want you to be able to explain exactly what Pinnacle is, because to this audience they have no idea what Pinnacle is. So
well,
tell them about the land,
well,
and when it was established.
In 1940, Pinnacle was acquired by Howell. All the details is based on whatever record we have today, because in 1940 I was only 1 year old. I was born in 39 December. And what happened after the Albertron and Howell transaction is that when Albertron died, after Albertron died, they reckon that the Howell did not finish paying for the land, and Albertron willed the land to the Boy Scout. And this was always in the mix of talking about Pinnacle. Now, Albertron willed it to the Boy Scout. The Boy Scout was also relative to the present developer. It's part of that family that knew the history of Pinnacle. They are connected.
So let me just interject right here to give you a little bit more context. The place we are speaking about, Pinnacle, and the name Leonard Percival Howell. Leonard Percival Howell is hailed as the founder and announcer of the Rastafari movement in Jamaica. Pinnacle is the space that he purchased of over 2,000 acres for the free-thinking Jamaican to come and to explore themselves, their culture, their independence, their economic capacities as a community. For 16 years, Pinnacle was fully self-sufficient, growing all kinds of agriculture from tomatoes, onions, gungo peas, guava, the sons can tell you about it, and also the farming of ganja. This was the first time in the nation's history that ganja was used for nation building. Ganja was the first thing that the black man in Jamaica had to use to give him any kind of independence, and this was one of the things that they tried to fight Howell for. However, Howell was never integrally involved in the farming of ganja. So it wasn't that he was a ganja man why they were fighting him. It was that he came and he introduced a brand new concept to a bunch of black people, African people in a slave country, empowering them to know that we are kings and queens, and we have a king in Ethiopia who was crowned the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah. And over 70 odd nations came and bowed before this small African man. How great can we be? This kind of new knowledge within the context of colonial Jamaica is very dangerous. And like Monty was saying, he was introducing this high-minded thinking to slaves right across, ex-slaves right across the country, with 300 to 500 in numbers at a time. So I will let Monty continue from there, but Pinnacle is a space right now where it has been stolen out of our history books, and it is something that we need to remember in a great way. And to have these two gentlemen here in the studio with us to give us the living moments from Pinnacle is something amazing.
The big giant pots used to they used to cook in the early days. Yeah. Where we go now? We go East Avenue, right? Left here.
Yeah. I go right to my field.
Yeah. Pass Fairweather House and then go around. Look at all that development there.
That's the houses we went to. Look, that sanctuary right up there.
Look the sanctuary right ahead of it. Wow.
You remember underneath that rock there, that what that carpenter used to name again? Jackson.
Yeah.
Used to make furniture and stuff like that.
Underneath the cave, yes.
Underneath the cave.
Continuous straight. That's how we used to live.
What's that? Pinnacle Way?
Straight.
Pinnacle Way.
Yeah. Down here, so was the pan.
Yeah, the pan used to be down there. Oh my
Because
God.
it's
You see that?
Look at that.
You play swing.
You could never recognize that in a million years. All those pumps saying I wasn't there. We're talking about 50 odd years, you know.
Yeah.
Mountains are still growing.
The salt rock, you remember salt rock?
Yes.
We always get the salt.
What? Oh, that's where Jackson used to work underneath.
Yeah.
He was a good furniture builder, you know.
Yes, man. We never forgot buying no furniture from nobody.
Just makes it for you, huh? That's a good idea. Self-reliance.
I remember, you see that little mountain over there?
Yeah.
Ground dove lay 2 eggs, and I watched these eggs until the little bird came about, and then they flew away after eventually.
Pinnacle View. No, this is Pinnacle View. So this is where all these rocks coming from.
This is the same house that I see from right up top. Unbelievable.
Yeah, the grey house, yeah.
They're still making that road there.
And look at them making the walls. So this is where they're coming for the stones for. Do you see them?
Yeah, some of the stones I recognize.
This is we been digging out here the other day to put in this
Right
house.
here, so. It's right here, so now, Baga. Remember Sister Gerald?
Yes.
Yes, and brother. Yeah, brother Harta. Harta Michael.
Right.
Sister Gerald did plant
Now you're getting a front
whole
view
heap
of
of
the
million.
sanctuary.
Can you tell us a little bit about growing up on Pinnacle? Like, what was the daily life like?
The daily life, Pinnacle itself was basically, my description of it is a utopian society where you had hundreds and hundreds of people living like just one great big family. It's almost, as I said before, it's like a utopian society where nobody had any argument to the point where the police would have to intervene or anything like that. It was just for the kids, it was fun. You go to the river, you fish, catch crayfish and shrimp, shrimp, we used to call it janga. And you had fruits. I mean, you think of the fruits, it was at Pinnacle because it was a very fruitful place. It was, whenever I want to think of somewhere beautiful and pleasant, I think of Pinnacle, because my 16 years that I spent there, it was such a beautiful place. If you ever go to Pinnacle, it's one of the most beautiful sights you can imagine. And seeing the sun go down and everything, it was just a very, very pleasant 16 years I've had there. And my world turned upside down after the 16 years of leaving Pinnacle. I have so much to say, but I have to give somebody else a chance because I can go on for the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
My name is Bill Howell. I was born in Pinnacle. 2 years into, after my father moved there, he, I think, purchased the property late 39, and then he moved there in 1940. And I was born in 42. I lived there until I was 14, and then while we were living there were several times we were being raided. We was raided by the police. Some out official. I would describe these raids as some is official raid and some is just a shakedown.
Okay, a payoff.
What do you mean by shakedown?
Police would come in and they would-
Extort.
yes,
Extortion.
Yeah, they come in. So everything is okay. We need something. Can you have anything? And that I would send out and they get his lieutenant to go out and they carry envelope. And as a kid, I would see mine moving around and money pass a envelope hand to somebody or something like that. That was the good ones. They were friendly and times like that. But there's a time when you have the security forces of the colonial establishment from England. They always come in, as Monty said, and create that, we are looking for subversive activity. You people might be involved in subversive activity. So any paper in the house was automatically seized and taken away, never to be returned, I should mention.
Okay.
In every raid, they took our papers and never, ever returned any.
Okay.
Including valuables, of course, watch money. If that was there, well, naturally, that would be gone as well. Anyway, as to beating or anything like that, they didn't abuse us or anything like that because my father did tell the people not to oppose or not to fight or anything like that if they're attacked by the police. Whenever the police come, just stand aside and let them do whatever within reason. Once they're in a group.
Okay.
To stay together in a group and then now, I mean, my life there, as Monty said, was like, to me, it was the most beautiful place for me. There's more room to run. I could go in any direction for days and hours, practically. And the people, we had all type of profession there. We had, dressmakers, tailors, carpenters, masons, shoemakers, and, we were self-sufficient in every respect. Right. We had a lot of different industry going there. We had some type of even a banking system, they call it SUSU or partner. Partner was in Pinnacle was the more preferred word, a partner system where people, I guess most West Indian would know the route where each individual would each week or month put up a certain amount of money and then each one would get a draw at a given time, and that was one of the banking system that went on there, and trading, bartering, and working together, people. So we had, as I said, we were being the false impression that our whole purpose, or the main purpose of Pinnacle was cultivation of marijuana. That is not true. We started planting, not we, individuals living in Pinnacle started planting to a large extent, I would say probably about in 1952, 53. And in 54 is when they really decided that they were, or 53 crop, they really decided, a couple of guys, they decided that they were going to go, big in it.
Not a couple, it was a lot more.
Well, a lot more than a couple, because they see that it was a crash crop. It was paying a lot more than the other stuff. So they went in drastically in that year, and that's the year the police raid. So if we had calico or crop in 54, they couldn't have touched us. Then we would have probably had enough to buy everybody in. We would have been a lot stronger.
Wait, sorry. When you talk about we, how many families roughly at the highest point? Because I've heard up to like 3,000 families at the highest point.
Yeah, but living in all different areas. It's a Pinnacle, as I said, it's a huge property. The main village in Pinnacle was called East Avenue. And that's where most of the people live, but in different community, and the back and the Thompson Pen area, where like the Cross Pen area, I should say, you have people living over there. You have people living in different areas, but that was the main village, East Avenue. Now, as to the arrest in the raid in 54, I think close on to about 400 people was arrested, and a lot, probably about 300 went to prison. I don't have the numbers.
It's men and women, or just men?
Men, women, and children. Because we were arrested also.
Okay, I just want to said that the people was arrested. I mean, no one actually. Some people might have had weed in their house, but they found the weed and they was in the plantation in the field, and they would just divide it up proportionally, not even proportionally, just get group of people and said, you get a pound, you get 2 pounds, you get what, you get that, you get that, and then including young kids. I remember this young girl, I mean, more than anything else, she probably was about 15, 16 then. And
This is a young girl you say you did have a little fancy for?
yes, yeah. And she was she was arrested and sent to prison. And this girl is
for ganja.
For ganja. And this poor little kid had nothing to do with it, you know. Same thing with boys though. But once they put it on you and you go to the court, you can't, you know.
And this is the colonial government at the time.
Oh yeah. It was always
straight from the crown.
Yes, straight from the crown. They were led by the colonial. Because
Mm.
at that time, I think you are the first black inspector in 51. That's the first time a black person got it. And then other than
Talk
that,
about your arrest.
okay. Oh, Monty and myself was also arrested. I mean, our father gave us a watch, and they came and said that, you know, where's the receipt for this watch? And I said, we have no receipt. And normally a kid wouldn't have a receipt. Plus, all our papers taken with all the many raids that we have had. Anyway, they said, this is stolen goods. So my brother,
they said it was what they call it?
Yeah.
Illegal
possession. We are in illegal possession.
Because we didn't have the receipt.
Yeah, we were in legal possession of stolen.
And what kind of watch is it, just so we know?
One was a Bulova and one was a Rolex.
So we
have money up there.
Yeah?
We're talking about a lot of money.
Money.
You understand that these 15 and 12-year-old young boys could be wearing this kind of watch. So understand that Mr. Leonard Howell was one of the wealthiest black men in colonial Jamaica, you know, and the potential that he had was what they were afraid of as well.
In the Western world.
Well, they said it was £3,000 they got from his house, but it's a lot more than that. And from the community, there are thousands and thousands
Just a
of
little
pounds.
bit to continue the same arrest. We were taken to the Spanish Town police station, and we were too young to be put in jail, so they're debating where to put us. But in the meantime, while we were there, a note was sent to our father that if we don't come out with X amount of money, a pound of weed will be put on Monty's name and a pound of weed put on my name.
Just put in your name.
Yes, because
they do that here too.
Anyway, that did not my father pay the money, and then just for that, but and for the court case, well, naturally he was able to trace the place where he bought the watch from, and they were able to give him copies of the receipt. So we were, the case was thrown out. But as I said, the trial and tribulation that took place in his life, another terrible thing that happened is at one stage he was dealing with a lot of merchants in the city buying produce and stuff like that, and at one time they claimed that he owed these people money, and a lot of his vehicles was confiscated. About 5 vehicles I think total, and there were some trucks. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know involved some truck cement mixer, and we were at the stage where we started to look at building concrete building, because prior to that they were all built of thatch and wood. But just to repair our house and to repair the great house, we had to get so we get some cement mixers and some other heavy equipment, and they came in and they took that. After they take all these things, they claim that they pay off all this money, but quite a lot of money was left in the account, more than the 400. Okay, I should also go back and mention about the purchase of Pinnacle. It was made by my father, as I say, in 1939, with money that he had plus some money from his wife, my mother, and they put down £800 on the property, and an additional 400 followed sometime after when they moved to Pinnacle. Now, after Albert Young died, I don't know who said that. I guess they could find the receipt for the first 800, but they said that he didn't pay the second. But that I know that he paid, because at some time I think he was actually paying taxes on the property. We have no receipt. We have no paper from Pinnacle days today. Let's put it that way. Everything and several,
Has anybody done research into if these papers still exist
somewhere? We've done lots of research.
Most
keep on
researching. Where most of these papers would be kept, the originals would be in the Spanish Town
courthouse.
But that was burnt down, right?
Right?
The courthouse in also Port Antonio They put
Yes.
that had a lot of record for
Yes.
it. That was also burned down as well.
Really?
Yes.
You're talking about they're trying to end the era of revolution, because remember shortly before Howell, we had a man called Bogle. Remember, and that is the last big rebellion that they had,
Yeah, Paul Bogle and
They
yeah.
didn't want another Bogle, and then the thing is that Howell was rising up out of St. Thomas out of the same parts where Bogle was. Can you imagine how scary this is? And the thing is that Howell is not using guns.
He was
He's emancipating the minds of the people.
The most dangerous weapon.
he was the first non-violent demonstrator. You see, hear about Gandhi and
Martin Luther
Martin
King.
Luther King, but he predated them by
Yes.
from the 30s. Mahatma Gandhi came about in the 40s when he was fighting the British, but Howell was from the 30s. He was doing a non-violent resistance to the authorities at every
Economic revolution.
Yes.
right. Just by even taunting them by closing his meeting by singing what was then the national anthem. But when you sing of the king, you must think not of the British king, but think of the king of Ethiopia. So sing it with all your, your might and your vigor, because but mean something else, and that's the way he was operating. Nothing was ever said to violent to resist them, to get guns or to get machete but just with words, just tell them that you are aware of yourself. You're aware that you are a human being as important and as.
In other words, he saw those people, and they were basically children of the ex-slave. Can you imagine what a black person endured in the 30s, the 20s and 30s in Jamaica? They were considered, little more than an animal.